It's magic. It's the magic of TV. What's happening, everybody? It's your man Dame D NYDC. Man, it's Tuesday night Blitz, rocking with my brother Big A Sam Adams. What's happening, Sarge? How we doing this Tuesday?
I mean, it's another glorious Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna leave it right there. I know. There's probably some other subjects that folks might want us to talk about, but we're gonna, for all intents and purposes, I guess we'll bypass that today.
Hey, I'm not mad at that, man. Sometimes you just got to get to it. The holiday season coming around, and for those,
Mm-hmm.
no intro. We coming in here undressed. We kicking
Mm-hmm.
indoors because it's Tuesday. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to do that. And you bring up a good point. We're gonna feel like we're just gonna talk about a couple of things tonight. No real rhyme or reason. And if the audience out there decides they want to join in, they can
Yeah.
throw in some comments. We'll chop it up that way as well,
Yeah.
man. And you
Feel
know,
free.
yeah, feel
Ask
free.
away.
Yeah. I mean, go for it. I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah. Why
And
not?
yeah, exactly. I agree. So how was your weekend, man? Like anything in particular you do over the weekend? Any highlights, low lights?
Nah, no. It was steady. Nothing really. Nothing too much to brag about. It was quiet, I guess you could say.
Oh, you was on the
It,
buy. You was on the
it
buy too, huh?
yeah, it was a Packerless weekend, so you know what I'm saying, them horns one that was the biggest concern. A pretty decent bounce back,
Yeah,
especially from 2 weeks ago when we got a
definitely,
shellacking by Georgia. So,
definitely.
but we still got a couple of tests left. 3 games remaining.
Yep.
We're still on that 6th seed according to the playoff schedule and everything.
Right.
So I think it's really going to boil down to still got to play Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky ain't no joke.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those 2 games are preem. So we'll see what happens this weekend against Kentucky. But other than that, Packers is holding steady on that 7th seed, but I'm kind of leery because there's some teams coming up in the second half, which I knew that was going to happen. So,
Right.
once again, it's like, how do we sustain what we have? And I could go on a whole laundry list with that,
I
starting
think you
with
guys are in a good place, though. I mean, just
I
in that,
mean,
the teams that are coming behind you. I mean, we're talking about, I mean, really, we talking about we look at Atlanta, but well, if they win the division, so they get a spot. But I mean, like
right.
Tampa, you know,
Mhm.
Arizona, they're gonna. And again, that's a surprise because we were going hard on Tampa, but they still. I
Right.
mean, not Tampa, Arizona, as
Yeah.
well. But now looks like San Francisco's trying to reshuffle the deck, so that could change. And I really
Right.
don't see any threat. Like, as long as you guys stay healthy,
Hmm.
and really kind of do what you've been doing. You've been
Yeah.
playing steady ball on both sides and
Right.
special teams. As long as Love doesn't come in and I don't want to call him a game manager, but doesn't blow the game or put the team in
Yeah.
positions that your defense is constantly on the field and having to
Yeah.
defend and defend and defend. If you guys keep balance, I think even as a 7, let's just say, I think you guys are in a great place because I mean the NFC is not, if we're gonna call it, it's not really that tough once you really. I mean, Detroit.
Right.
Maybe we're gonna see what happens with Philly and the Commanders. This Thursday. I mean, the in division game. The Commanders
Right.
lost a tough one with the
That's going to be
Steelers.
a really interesting game
Yeah,
right there.
so I think that's going to tell us a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe coming out of this weekend, but outside of that, I think you guys are really in a good place, and I think you're more of a threat though because people are not really looking at you right now. You know what I'm saying?
No. I mean, yes, I think the Packers are still treading the radar per se. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It's still underneath, but I mean, you made a very valid point. Love need to stop. He need to minimize those risks.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Throw the ball away.
Right.
Minimize chucking it downfield, especially when you have like 2 or 3 men on one
One
individual.
individual,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You got to minimize those risks. Just keep on feeding Jacobs too. You know what I'm
Come on,
saying? You
man.
got a
Come on.
healthy stable of running backs back there that you can just dump the ball off to, check it down, like I've been saying these past couple of weeks, and
Agreed.
we'll be fine. But it's in anybody's cards right now. So
Mm-hmm. I
we'll
agree.
see. We'll see as the weeks progress.
I agree.
We'll start with doggone the Bears this weekend and see if we still have sole custody of Chicago. Whether or not Mr. Rogers signed his guardianship over to Jordan Love. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, man. I mean, I think that's an even interesting game. Looking at coming up this week because Chicago again. We started out hard. Well, at least I know I did. I started out hard on them.
Right.
Coming out the gate, wasn't really impressed, and they went through that mini run where I mean the entire division, and I mean still the entire division
Yeah.
still for the most part looks solid. But watching them over the last couple of weeks, man, it's spiraling back out of control again. And
Right.
I'm wondering, one, is it coaching? Obviously we see what the play is like because the play he's kind of reverted back to that rookie, and it's to be expected.
Right.
But I don't know why I just feel like there's so much more that's really going on that we're not seeing and we're not hearing right now.
Oh, we're
'Cause
seeing it.
well, I mean,
And it's
they're
the
terrible.
yeah, it's the same plague that they've been dealing with for years, though. And I already said it was going to be a tale of two halves, especially when
Yeah,
it came to the season. Like,
right.
and now we're starting to see it. So I think people are reverting back to, well, it's just typical Chicago,
Mm-hmm,
what they've been doing and everything. They had that glimpse of hope,
right.
you know what I'm saying, but it came crashing down. Like the second I said it
Yeah.
earlier, the second half of the season was going to be a whole lot more challenging,
Right.
than this first half. So like they're about to be ran through the gauntlet within the division alone,
Right.
because that's the majority of the games. The second half, they're all divisional games for the most part.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they pan out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. And I want to go back because you touched on a great point too. Like when we opened up talking about college this weekend and some of the gameplay. Your Texas Longhorns, bouncing back and some other teams. And one of the teams that I think we both were in agreement that was somewhat skeptical and questionable right now.
Mhm.
The Tide down in Alabama. It seemed like the Tide had started rolling out. This Saban year or the Saban-less year.
Right.
But over the weekend, man, they took on LSU. A battle of top 20 teams, and I don't know, man. It was like the lights came back on in Alabama, and I mean, it was just a total romp and rout in this one. And curious to know,
Mhm.
did you get a chance to watch that, or did you get some takes on this basically crushing of LSU at home?
I wasn't anticipating it to be the shellacking that it was, per
Right,
se.
right,
And then when you look at the stats, like it was pretty much ground and pound. Wasn't too
all
much
day,
impressive as far as like the passing game,
right,
but they had over 300 yards rushing.
yeah,
So, I mean, if you have 300 yards rushing, like that
that was a
just says it
monster.
all right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a
Um,
monster.
LSU defense, I mean, I, I can't even call it right now. Like I said, especially being in the swamp, that's you hear about a lot of
Exactly,
stadiums and having that, that's that 12th man that's
right.
out there. But like, yeah, man, that was totally in Bama's that was in Bama's yard right there. Then on
Hmm.
top of that, you look at the weather conditions and everything, because
Right,
it was a messy game
it
too.
was,
But
it was.
I mean, Bama was just smart with it. They was like,
Mm.
hey, we might can't toss the rock, but we go to hand this off and let that magic happen. So
And that's really what it was. When I just look back or think back, and looking at my notes too, like Milrose was basically a problem.
mhm,
Like you said, it wasn't with his arm per se, but it was just the ground game. And then when he broke for that 72-yard run, I mean, that
mhm,
was really like, I mean, it was already LSU was already deflated in the swamp, but
yeah,
that right there was like you sucked the entire life out of everyone, and then it's bad because when do you ever see LSU fans basically exit a game?
right, yeah,
I mean, they were
never,
all never right, and that's how bad it was in the
hmm,
swamp. And I mean, I too, like you, I wasn't expecting to see this type of dominance. I thought it definitely was going to
hmm,
be a tighter tilt, but I
right,
got to give it to him because I mean, Alabama basically held them LSU to basically two red zone opportunities, and they were really
yep,
late or towards the end of the game, and the
right,
touchdown came towards the end of the game. So I got to give my hat to Alabama because we were talking bad about them a couple of weeks ago, and we were really questioning um, if this is still a viable playoff team. And right now, looking at what we saw the other day, you still have, in
hmm,
my opinion, you still have to really keep them in the conversation now, at
oh yeah,
least in the top 12. I like you said, I still think they got a couple of other tough games on the schedule, and that's going to be the key. But if they make it through that tough schedule, you still got to keep them in the conversation. And they look
Oh yeah.
they look serious now. Like just like I said, watching that, they kind of took my breath away, and I was like, damn, they serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bama will continue to be Bama just as long as they winning. And they will
Yeah.
always be that, they will always be playoff contenders.
Yeah, man.
They bounce back. I wasn't expecting them to be at the have the ranking that they have, especially
Right.
being 7-2. But we
Right.
already said it, and I mean, I think even some of the commentators have been talking about like the SEC is just loaded with talent, so it's not going to be a
Top to
shocker to
bottom.
sit here and have like 4 to 5 teams
Top to
in the
bottom.
playoffs from the SEC. You got the SEC, you got the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Other than that, Big 12 they're gonna squeeze in alone just
probably
by
probably three that we could, because we might be talking about
yeah,
maybe
because
the
you got
third one in a second.
yeah, because you got BYU,
Yep.
Colorado. Those are
The
BYU,
top.
Colorado.
I want
The
to say
top
the
two out of
right.
Big 12, but there's one more floating around too.
And is Utah? Utah's not. Oh, they moved to the Big 12, did they? Is it
Yeah,
Utah or
they're
one
in
of
the
them?
Big 12
They're in
too.
the Big. So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
This whole landscape has changed, so it's hard. But yes, I know they're potentially looking at 3. So it's going to be interesting where this all plays out. And talking about, we were going to talk about Colorado because that's the other game
Yeah.
that we were talking about. I wouldn't say it was a total blowout. I mean, because Buffalo really started off slow. From what I
Right.
recall, it was real.
Oh yeah.
It was a real slow start for them, and it wasn't really
Mhm.
indicative. I want to say, I remember it was like 3 or 4 punts, like right out the gate when they started the
Mhm.
game. Before Shador and the rest of the Buffs decided to wake up and just really explode, for those 4 touchdowns. And they went into halftime. If I remember, it was like, or no, by the end of 3, it was like 31-20 or something like that. And the game was
Right.
basically in the bag. But
Right.
is this? And I'm curious to know, because I know what my opinion and my take is. Again, Buffalo reminds me of a front runner though. Sometimes, like it's hard
Mhm.
for them if they're not out in front, right?
Right.
And just because of the talent that they have on offense, and I'm not saying their defense has gotten better. Their defense is slowly
Yeah.
starting to hold their end of the bargain, but they just remind me as front runners, and they remind me of a team that if you can really punch them in the mouth, and that's what I was really looking for from Texas Tech in that game, the way it
Yeah.
opened up. I was like, man, if Texas Tech, man, can take advantage of one of these drives and really punch Colorado in the mouth, we might see something different. But it never really happened. So,
Right.
I'm curious, is this something that you agree with or you see differently, with Colorado moving forward?
Within their conference, yes.
Okay.
And they do have the potential to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
My concern is when they make it to the playoffs. And what's going to happen if you have to face a Tennessee, a Texas, a Bama, you know what I'm saying? Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole different, and like I said, it's a teleconferences now.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
And
Good point.
like when you look at the hierarchy, once Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12 and moved to the SEC, it became more of a freelance for the Big 12, like it's anybody's game right now.
Right.
However, I just don't think that the teams are that equipped for these other power conferences that you have out there. So I think they're going to give BYU a run for their money. Like you said, Utah is still in the mix of it as far as like the Big 12 championship and everything. And like you're going to have that front runner, but like they just don't have that. I feel like they just don't have that that extra oomph to keep them going. So
I like that.
In due time we'll see, but that's kind of how I feel that they stand right now.
No, you bring up a good point. I think, and being a smart coach, I mean, you bring up a very strong point. You want to win your in conference games, right? Your in conference championship. And I think Deion, just watching him over his maturation here, it's only 2 years, but he's really built a team for in conference play.
Right.
And that's a great stepping stone. But it does become a thing now with this college playoffs. You have to play a team or teams that are much maybe bigger, faster, stronger, better players across all positions. And I agree with you. Once Colorado, if they get, first of all, they make the playoffs, but then to get into the playoffs and play against those teams, like you said, a Tennessee, that even though people may not fear, but they still play in the SEC. They're facing that type of competition every week.
Right.
Where coming from the Big 12, you might face that 3 or 4 times in a year or in a season.
Right.
So that does make it different. So, but it'll be interesting. We talked about it before, seeing how Coach Prime continues to develop once his sons are gone, once
Right.
Hunter is gone, once Horn is gone, and see how he continues to mature and grow the squad. But it's going to be interesting, man. It's nice to talk about different teams this time than the regular. You get the same Alabama, Georgia, you get the same, but at least this year it feels like we're talking
Right.
about other teams. It should be exciting, going down
Oh yeah.
the
Oh,
road.
definitely. Like I said, it's still a lot of. I mean, we got 3 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to the championship games, I'm still looking at the Army versus Navy game.
Yep.
But before that, we still got Army versus Notre Dame.
Yep.
And I'm just like, my fingers are crossed on that one. I despise Notre Dame. Don't ask.
Yeah.
I hated Rudy. You know what I'm saying? I thought that doggone. I felt the hope. You know what I'm saying, when Navy rolled in, and I was like, it might be a chance, and whew, that was.
Yeah, I was
no
with
comment
you
on that one.
I was thinking or hoping for something a little bit more challenging, but I was with you. Didn't happen that way, and like I said, we can hope for it because I mean, right now, I mean, Army's rolling. They doing their thing.
And that's the other thing. What do we do about these smaller conferences? You know what I'm saying? Like per se, what happens if Army wins their conference? They become champions too. Like, how do they factor in? You know what I'm saying? The top 12 in the playoffs and everything.
I think like out of the non-power fives, I guess, or however they break it down, or they are called the Power Five conferences now, whatever. I want to say they get a bid because it's only like you have the what is it? It's because the Pac-12 is not even around anymore, but you have like the Power
at least
Five,
not this year,
right? So you have like the ACC, the Big 12, SEC. What's the other one? The AAC. So like those 5 schools, I think the one like they seed them based on how they finish. Then you have the rankings of the other teams, and I want to say it's like 4 spots that are left open to like a Navy, a Notre Dame, and some of these other mid-major type conferences, I guess, if you want to consider it that way. But that fill out the top 12 spots. It's going to be interesting, and I think that's going to be another. When you mention that moving forward, I think that's going to be another conversation that teams are going to have. Like you take an Army, like what if Army goes undefeated but falls 13? They're not in the top 12. Like how does? And I think you bring a great point. And I don't know all of the mechanisms and the mechanics behind it, but that would be a great conversation and an argument for a team that's undefeated. But because of strength of schedule or whatever it is, they fall outside of the top 12. And to be honest, nobody's ever going to be totally 100% happy.
Oh, no.
But it's a great point that you pick up. Like, how is that decided and how were those choices made? We could be seeing that again this year. So, but we're talking about teams like Army. So I love it. I love it.
I wouldn't think that I would be bringing them up and being undefeated right now, but here we are. So go Army.
Go Army. Exactly. Go Army. Not mad with it. So, we're going to transfer, we're going to do a little basketball. We're going to say the basketball for towards the end, change it up this week.
Okay.
We're going to look at we're going to move to the NFL. Game of the week, we talked about Steelers and these, well, not my hometown, but my hometown, the Commodores. The Commodores were in action. Lionel Richie, a.k.a. Jaden Daniels, was out there, man, doing his best thing. And look, I got to shout him out. Like I said, being here in their backyard, watching the development of the Commanders and the work that they're doing. We've agreed several times, mind blowing, fun to watch, and to see the energy that goes behind it. But it was a great game.
Oh yeah.
And what was your observation of this Steelers Commanders battle here in the DMV?
Well, I look at it twofold. For one, for some miraculous reason, or away, I guess you could say, you can never count out Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well
Year
said.
after year, like
Well said.
it's a product, and I know that people want to sit here. It's been times that people want to sit here and write him away,
Yeah.
but he does something with his little magic and
Yeah.
his gumbo or whatever and stir it up, and he toss it out there. He's made it work with two quarterbacks.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And I didn't think that was going to be the case. I swear that wasn't going to be the
Exactly.
case.
You know, whether it was Fields at the beginning, and now you see the second half with Russell Wilson coming in,
Yeah.
which I had my doubts. I don't know about
We
everyone
both
else.
did. We both did. We both talked bad about that one. Yeah, we did.
And it's not like every game he's putting up like miraculous stats and everything, right? But it's the fact that the management side of it, of being the seasoned QB Super Bowl champion that he is, you know, now we're seeing it. You know, this is something that was missing during his stint out there in Denver and everything. So it had me skeptic with him transitioning over here to Pittsburgh. Like, you know, you were straight Tuesdays and Thursdays on, you know, out there in Denver, but like you're and the weapons that he has too. I mean, George Pickens is just
beast me.
that. Now he does some questionable stuff. Like there was that one little sweep that he had that he picked up, and for some reason he was like skipping air.
Yeah. Like don't touch me. Don't touch me.
I think he was trying to block a man that wasn't in front of him yet. And then he did a hop skippity, but at the same time, he has these miraculous catches in the end zone too. That's like, you know, you're just in shock and awe of the player that he is and what's to come with that too. So, and then you look at the opposite side. Like, I mean, I don't think there's another rookie that we're talking about the way that we're talking about with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, without question.
I do appreciate Team Johnson and company, how they just structured everything from the top down to even have the Commanders back in the conversation, because it's just been desolate for so long. So, and there's still hope for him. You know, there's still that discussion for him. So, like you said, this Thursday is going to be a really perennial game right here, a vital game for both sides, whether it's Philly or it's Washington.
Without question.
But you look at the Commanders; they're a playoff contender. I will not write them off. So I think they're above that radar now. So like, you know, if I was in the AFC, I'd be scared of Pittsburgh right now because their defense is playing good. Offense is picking it up. You know, Najee Harris is still doing his thing. Look out for Jalen Warren. He had 66 yards, 14 touches. So there's a lot going on for that team. Sky's the limit for the both of them, but like that, it was and I just like, you know, it just came down to you knew, everyone knew what was going to happen.
Everybody,
you know
knew
what I'm
it.
saying? Like I was at my neighbor's house because they're Commanders fans. We were watching it, and I was like, I know they're going to go for this hard count. And they even warned, I forgot the rookie name, but they were sitting there. That DN slid to the side, like he was like, look, don't jump. And that hard snap came, and so it, you know, things like that happen. It's like, what can you do? But I think it was lessons learned, just going to make him stronger. And the way the team corralled around him too, and you know, spoke to him, like I think that speaks volumes too. So unlike other teams,
well, even unlike their past, you know, this the culture, like you said, from Harris on down, the culture, you can definitely tell that there's a full buy-in on culture change, the environment, the team itself. And like you said, just to watch them pick him up really in that moment, you know, it's got to be heartbreaking. And you know, you're on the verge of having an opportunity to really take the victory. So to watch them in that manner, it is impressive to watch. It's good to see what good general managers and, you know, things from the top, from the owner on down work. And like you said, I think the only difference was really that. And, you know, the Steelers, you know, just put so much pressure on him throughout the game. You know, what's it, my man Cam Hayward with 2 sacks, you know, 6 pressures, you know, and recording 8 tackles in the game. I mean, we talking about this is a D lineman, right? Like coming at you like that. And Russell didn't have a great game. He was only like 14 for 28 for less than 200 yards. But
Mm-hmm.
he had the 3 touchdowns, and again, that's where the experience, like I said, like Tomlin got that magic goo, something going on, man,
Yeah.
and he's really making it happen. So just to
Mm-hmm.
watch it, it wasn't a great game per se, but again,
Right.
the balance of the offense, Russell making plays with his arm, the running game, the defense, the special teams. Pittsburgh just has something going on, and I agree with you. If I'm in the AFC, because nobody really talked about them other than what seemed to be the struggles going on, but they're
Right.
winning.
Yeah.
They're in the thick of things, and if I'm in the AFC, they're definitely a team that I know I wouldn't want to see in the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
with the window of time that's left, you really got to think that the more Russ is behind center now, again, you would expect them to continue to get better and more cohesive, and that may change things. And then in the NFC, I think the showdown, like we talked about Thursday night, the Commanders and the Eagles. I mean, it's fight for the NFC East, and really, I think just being the legitimate number 2 right now
Right.
in the conference, really is going to speak volumes on how things continue to play out here in the back half of the season. So I think that one might end up being our game of the week because I don't recall the schedule off the top of my head. We'll look, but that one, man, is going to be juicy. In conference battle
Ain't,
too.
ain't nothing too pretty right now. We'll talk. We'll talk about it before we segue into basketball. But
ain't too much ain't looking good next
nah,
week.
nah,
Okay.
nah, nah.
Yeah.
This is slim pickings right here.
Yeah. Well, we coming in the ugly time. We definitely coming in the ugly time. And staying in the AFC, in the AFC itself, I mean, the Chiefs and the
I already know
Broncos.
where we're going with this.
Hey, look, now we both, I think, have agreed and discussed like these are not the Chiefs
No.
that many of us have been accustomed to over the last 5 or 6 years. The track meet, the up and down, the scoring of the points, the Mahomes magic. It's not the same team,
Right.
right? And again, I'm eating crow again because I was so hard on Denver, and Peyton, and you cleared it up, because Bo Nix is he's a super senior. He's
Yes.
30. He's 30
Yep.
basically coming out of college, and he's really helped balance, you know, the Denver attack, if you will. And
Yep.
watching the game again, Kansas City wasn't really magical. There wasn't any magic per se. Mahomes threw for a 260 and a
Mm-hmm.
touchdown. But outside of that, Travis Kelsey, he had 8 catches. He's been showing up for Kansas City. D Hop, I think he had 4 or 5 catches for like 55, 56 yards. Kareem Hunt on the ground, but it wasn't really special, right? Like the
Right.
special that we seen. And
Yeah.
Denver was really holding the game for, we talking about basically 49 minutes, really,
Yep.
and then, and I don't know what it is. Is it something in the water? Is the magic Andy Reid? Like, what do you see? Because it just blew my mind because I was already putting that one as a check for Denver in
Look,
the college.
okay. First off, I'm still in shock and awe with
Right.
this field goal block. I don't know what it is because, like you said, like I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Kansas City playing sloppy ball. Like, let me just get that out there.
Yep.
Both on offense and
And
defense.
defense.
And
Agreed.
it's like week after week, it gets exploited. But for some reason, they pulling these dubs, and I'm just like, how is this happening? If it was any other team,
Right.
I don't think that they would have the success that Kansas City has right
Agreed.
now,
I
being
agree.
9-0. And like I said, like they're undefeated, so they're still up at that mountain and everything. However, when is it gonna end? You know what I'm
Agreed,
saying?
man.
They still got to face. I think they play the Bills this weekend.
Yeah, the Bills are on the schedule, I believe.
Yeah, so that's going to be the first test. There's a gauntlet that they have to go through too, and I think it's going to be lessons learned with a lot of these teams for the remainder of the Chiefs' schedule. So they might want to sit here and look out for that. Let me see. Yeah, they got the Bills. That's probably the only Steelers.
Right. I think that's a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, and they play the Chiefs again away.
Hmm.
And I want to say the Browns, but we don't know
We
which
don't know
Browns
yet.
team is going to show up.
Yeah.
So I think that could they go undefeated this year? There's a high probability. But they do have a couple of bumps in the road too. And I'm just waiting for the magic to stop with them.
Right.
Like, it's like I said, the team and the schemes already been exploited, but for some reason, it's like they just edge it out just a little bit to
I
keep
don't
them
know what it
going.
is, man.
So like I said, it's gonna taper down, but it's just like
Yeah,
when is it gonna stop?
and the tapering down though, and when it stops though, does that bust open the floodgates, and then you start finding them going in reverse? Because like I said, I'm with you. Every
Mhm.
week now it's becoming a thing. But like I said, literally, I had the game on, but I wasn't really watching it. I'm quad boxing or whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to give Denver this. I got to give them their kudos. I'm like, man, I had to sit here
Yeah,
and talk with Sam. I have them turn and they flash the quad box to a single box and they showing the replay. And I'm sitting here with my mouth open, like,
yeah,
yo, what in the heck, man? Like, how? I just don't know, but I'm going to agree with it. Eventually, this Lucky Charm, this rabbit's foot
mhm,
is gonna go away, and you know, it just feels like the shoe is ready to drop
yeah,
for all of the negative things now to catch up. And I don't mean to put it on nobody's team. The game with Kansas City people, Chiefs watching
mhm,
this, whether if you hear live or you watch this on the playback, but I'm just telling you how it feels. It just feels like the floodgates are going to open and it's not going to be good because I
right.
don't know how they surviving.
I wonder if they're gonna be Philly 2.0 just based off of last year and everything that happened. Like,
Mhm.
remember they were 10-0,
And
10-1
then
or something like that, and then it was
then
just like this
everything was in
massive
reverse. Yeah.
massive slump. Now I can't say what their strength of schedule, like I don't foresee that happening, but
Right.
like you can never say never when it comes to it. So
That's right. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting how that plays out. And we're gonna stay out west. We're gonna stay out there, with the Rams. The Rams taking on the Dolphins came to town. And I was curious, this game was really on the schedule. This curious, man. Two teams that I think when the season started, you and I both it's kind of like, they both had potential.
yes,
We've seen what happened with injuries and the devastation of injuries.
right,
Especially in LA. I mean, they've been decimated, and then Tua with the concussion. But I thought this was a two teams kind of with an opportunity to kind of get themselves right.
yeah,
And nothing really went right for the Rams other than kicking the heck out of the ball. They can kick the heck out of a field goal. They're good for that. But Miami really their defense uh really kind of kept them in a rut.
oh yeah,
Tua wasn't fantastic, 20 to 28. But that's a hell of a percentage. We're talking about over 70%, passing for 200 yards and a touchdown. And I think if I remember, he threw an interception. They had
hmm
some explosive plays, and that's really what we want to see from Miami, like those explosive plays to Weddle and Tariq, and they had a couple and some on the ground. So it wasn't really a super exciting game. It had some highs and some lows, but I want to get your take on what do you see like specifically for Miami now? Because I want to say it's like the second win. Two is back. They're in the AFC East. Is there a
hmm
path or a road do you think that they slide into that 7 spot possibly and make the playoffs?
no.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay. No. Okay.
uh, I mean, just looking at the schedule,
Mhm,
I mean, they got the Pats. You know how I feel about they go up to Green Bay
mhm,
the weekend of Thanksgiving.
mhm.
Um, they play the Jets. You still got the Texans. You got the Niners. You got the Browns.
It doesn't get
I mean,
easy
I
for them.
don't know. Yeah,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't
get
get easy.
on paper,
Their, their
right?
only saving grace is playing the Jets twice for the
Right.
remainder of the year.
Right.
Um, I and I don't see anything changing with the Jets.
No,
So,
that's
I mean,
garbage.
there's the probability, but I think that they're going to break even at like 8-8.
Okay. That's fair.
But I don't think that's going to be enough for them to go into the
Going to the
playoffs.
playoffs.
Yeah,
That's fair.
just with, I mean, you got your Bills, you got your we
Mhm.
already know the top three: Chiefs, Bills,
The Ravens.
Ravens. Who win the West?
And you
Well,
got it.
the Chiefs is in the
You're in the
West.
West, yeah. So
So
you're down
who's
in
going
the
to be?
South. So you're down there. You're basically looking at. So you got the Texans. Well, who are we missing?
Well, the Texans.
Yeah, the
So
Texans.
Texas probably going
Chiefs.
to end up taking the South.
Yeah, Texans,
So
Chiefs, the Ravens.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. And then it kind of gets murky after that because then you, like I said, you're looking at does
I mean,
an Indy
yeah.
team make it?
Does Indy make it? Does
The Rams? Or we forgot
Denver?
about the Chargers. We forgot about the Chargers
Yeah.
in Denver. I mean, because that's really
Yeah.
where the battles are really coming from. Seems like so. But are they going to cancel each other out?
Yeah.
And allow a team like Indy maybe to make it?
Yeah. So it's going to be a tough road for him, but I'm going on the latter with no. I'm not counting out the Patriots either.
Seriously,
I'm not saying that they got their mojo together, but like they're becoming that defense is.
They're finding an identity on one side of the ball. It's just what happens with Drake May, and what kind of offense they can generate. Because I agree with defensively, they're looking. They've gotten better.
Right.
It's just the makeup in the identity of their offense that is still, to me, the question. What are we really doing with Drake May? What kind of pieces do we have that can be functionable and move the change? I think with them, if kind of early Bill Belichick in Cleveland, it's just about handling the ball and moving the change. You want to dominate the clock. And with a defense like that, what they have now that's come along, I think it puts them in a good situation. If they have to get into a shootout, they have a problem. But if they can manage the ball and move the chains and make him a game manager, I think, like you said, I agree with you. New England could be dangerous here in the second half of the season.
And even looking at the Rams front four, like they were real lenient per se towards Tua. Like I'm not knocking anything, but it was a couple of plays that it just became like a little hand fight, with the O-line and everything. And I'm like, there was no immediate rush.
Let's get to the quarterback.
Saying? Yeah, they were soft on the blitz too. So I don't know if it was just like, let's just see how this goes. This is first.
Let's not hurt him.
Game back. Yeah.
Let's not hurt him, but hurt him.
I don't think that he's going to see that going against a lot of these other defenses. And I'm not saying that they're going to be out to hurt him again.
Right.
But they're going to want to win the game. And I'm not saying that the Rams didn't want to win, but I mean, they couldn't net really anything minus Matt Stafford throwing for 293. Run game was they were right at 70 yards looking at this. So, and like his supporting cast between Nakua, Kupp, and Allen, didn't nobody really do much. You know what I'm saying? So, it was a messy. I don't want to say it was a messy game, but it was another one of those games like
it was ugly. It really was like this thing. Watching it was ugly. There was no pace to the game.
Right.
No flu. A lot of times, games have a fluidity to it and a pace. It was none of that. And like you said, it's two teams, like two ships kind of sailing past each other. One, like I said, kicking the heck out of the football. They can kick some field goals all night. And another team still trying to refine or redefine itself, from what we expected and what we saw last year, then the concussion, and trying to kind of get Stella got their groove back. And that's what it kind of felt like. So it'll be interesting, moving down the road and how things play out. Still a lot of football left to play.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pause for a minute because we're gonna go to a funeral. There's a funeral in Germany, and
oh Lord, I've been rooting for the G-men this season. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I've been their biggest advocate.
You have.
I was like, I was like, Danny Dimes, that dude, man. Like, don't give up on him. But I think I got some papers somewhere around here,
bruh.
I can't find them right now, but I think it's time to say goodbye. I think after the season is
continue.
I think after this season is over, um, it's going to be time to part ways with Danny Dimes. Like he's just not it. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's really all I got to say. You
there's
know,
really not much to say. There's really,
yeah,
I'm letting you. I appreciate you being a friend.
yeah, I deserve more. You know what I'm saying?
Look, I know when I see, when you step in dog poo, like dog poo when you
mm-hmm.
step in it, right? We've
Yeah.
been a whole smorgasbord of dog poo all year, and when you look at that game, that was like the synopsis of what our year has really looked like. And you're the one that really got me, because I know I came out hard. Season started, we were terrible, but you're the one that
Right.
you got me to be optimistic and look at the picture and the glass half full versus half empty. And
Mm-hmm.
we have some positives. All right,
Yes.
and I'm going to stick with the positives to start. I know this is a funeral ceremony, ladies and gentlemen. So the positives, we found a running back. May not be an every down back, but he's dynamic and he gives us a spark and energy. Now, sad thing is, the same dynamic spark is part of the reason why we lost. But hey, he's a rookie, right? Positive. We have, a man child, grown man child on a defensive line called Dexter Lawrence. This man basically ruins and wrecks everything pretty much that he can. He does a great job. I mean, interior lineman, great guy. We found ourselves a number one receiver. Great. So these are things that are somewhat what some people say building blocks. But the guy driving the car, he's not Ricky Bobby. This guy is like Ricky Bobby when he set himself on fire and he thought he was on fire. Yeah, this guy is on fire, and not in a good way. It's time, and I said this a long time ago. Look, and I'm agree with you. We got to get out the contract, and I think if I remember reading correctly, there's a $25 million kicker basically for injury or whatever that he's guaranteed. So let's not wait till the end of the season. Let's go ahead. Let's sit him on the side. Let's make sure we put bubble wrap around him. Don't put him in any glass or anything. Make sure he's rubberized and padded. Let him sit down on the side. It's time to get Drew Lock or whoever and think about, the future, because we are not going anywhere fast. Like I said, the game was great. I got to give it to Bryce Young. He showed up. Wasn't a great game. 15 for 25, 126 yards, a touchdown, but he threw no interceptions. He gave his team an opportunity to stay in the game and have a chance to win. What's his name? Hubbard, who seems like he's been in the league for 1,000 years. He just got his fresh contract down there. He ran for a career high 153 yards, on Sunday for 28 carries, $153. So definitely, in my opinion, Carolina's best game, really. Or recording 2 sacks and 2 interceptions on the defensive side. Of course, they wait. Or maybe it's just that we're just that bad, like I said. But kudos to Carolina. And like I said, it's just time for us to really, I don't think it's a coaching change, but it's definitely time to change some things in the culture, change a lot of the pieces, and just hit the drawing board, man, and just hit the reset and call it what it is.
I think when you look at the stats, y'all lay at everything as far as the Giants, but the downside to it is that, you were tied for fumbles and you led interceptions. I think that's what kind of killed everything right there. So, and it's once again, we're talking about a quarterback that there's a indecisiveness right there as far as like which Danny Dimes is going to show up. And I think that hurts. That's really detriment to the team.
Without question.
But I mean, I ain't gonna put everything on him. There's some, some coaching there. When you look at the front office and everything, and the coordinator, so there's more pieces to it. But like you said, like he has the keys, so he's the one who's leading the team, and you need to have that reliability on him.
Yeah. Look, you and I, watching the football, and since the last time the Giants made the playoffs, which was maybe 10 years ago, we've been talking about one thing in New York: offensive line. We've
Yeah.
gone through general managers. We're gonna get the hogmog, the Piggly Wiggly, whatever he was calling the hog, whatever. We still haven't done it. And football is one up front.
Yep.
You look at the teams that have been dominant, that have been good, consistently. They have good offensive lines, and let's just call we haven't. We lost our left tackle. We were looking forward to having him. Shine. He was supposed to be the face of the line and help guard and protect Danny Dimes. That went out the window, and we just don't have any depth on the offensive line. And like I said, on both sides of the ball, we got, like I said, Dexter Lawrence is a man amongst men. We have some positives on the defensive side. Our back end is a little. Not even a little. them dudes are like me out there. It's like 55-year-old guy back there playing defense, like ain't got no business. But
Right.
It's sketchy. So we have some work to do. And you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's all Danny Dimes, but when you're the face, unfortunately, you're the one with the keys, the car, the money. You're the guy. And the quarterback position has been deemed as such. We just got to go ahead and cut bait.
Yep.
Let's look to next year, whether it be through the draft, some type of miraculous trade, whoever might be out there. We just gotta do it in a manner, though. Let's not go out and spend out all this money, because that $160 million could have went to so many more, pieces, offensive line, defensive line, and different things. So I just hope that we're smart in this next go round for my G-men. And I cried over the weekend. I cried.
It's all right.
It was bad.
Hey, look, sometimes we gotta do that.
It was bad. Bad, bro. It was bad.
Oh man.
But hey, we're gonna transition. We're gonna transition to start one, bench one, cut one. We're gonna talk about teams this week. So I was in that mode of who do I want to start, who do I want to bench, and which team do I want to cut. And I don't know if you had time to think, or you have any teams that you want to start for next week. Next week matchup that you might be looking at.
If I'm going to start somebody, is it just one? We're just one team, right? I'll play nice. I'll play nice. I'll do my team. Let me see how the week's going. I would probably start the Vikings because they're playing the Titans. So it's like, come on.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What Will Levis going to do? I think Will Levis got benched, didn't he?
No, he was hurt.
Okay.
And then he came. Well, I want to say Mason Rudolph had started a game or two. Then I want to say he was back in the last game. But that's a good one. I like that. And I'm actually with you, kind of staying in the division. I'm staying with the Lions because they got Jacksonville coming to town. And I would definitely start Detroit, even though 5 interceptions. That's a whole lot.
Oh yeah. we didn't even get on that game, but you brought up a very valid point. I can't see. Once again, we're talking about something like if it was any other team, like how in the world did Detroit
win that
5
game?
interceptions, end up coming back, and win that game? So it was a tale of two halves. Basically, that's something that we sat there and we discussed. Like, how in the world did that happen? But I could see sitting there and starting the Lions over the Jaguars. Because it's, once again, we're talking about the Jaguars.
Yeah.
You got an 8-1 team and a 2-8 team.
I went for the money. That's one of those, like, if I put down, I'm taking that money. I want to go with that one. I know that's a definite. If you had a team that you had to bench this coming week, who would you bench?
It will probably be I've just been my dude with the swag surfing and everything, but I'm gonna put my money on I would bench Kirk O'Chains and the Falcons going up to Mile High.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Yeah,
I mean, just think about it. Just we were just talking about Denver, and basically they stayed the course with the Chiefs. And I don't think that the Falcons defense is as
tough or equipped like Denver.
Yeah, I will put it in that category. So, or I don't think the Falcons defense is as more like a threat when you look at the Chiefs defense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So I think this is going to be our ultra senior Bo Nix think that this might be his you know, when you're talking about a indoor team that's going up to Denver, we don't know.
It's a very good point.
There's supposed to be some snow coming.
That's a very good
So
point.
we don't know how they're going to sit here and perform, you know, once they sit here and get out there. You know, and I can't even say Kirk Cousins, he's not used to playing outdoors either, because when he was a part of Skull Nation,
they were indoors.
You know, exactly. So I would bench the Falcons.
Okay. That's a very good one. See, and again, I stayed within your division.
Okay.
I would bench the Bears because I don't know what's going on right now with anything, Eberflus, Williams, anything that's going on in Chicago right now. I don't know. I would bench them, and then it's a division game. And I think, you know, your Packers coming off the bye. Now you're going to have some bodies will be a little more refreshed.
Yep.
Guys will be, I want to say, refocused and really looking at the big picture, still realizing that even though Detroit might have a 2-game gap, you guys are still in the thick of it. And I think and I feel that what better way to take it out on a in-division rival, especially your hated division rival, your longest division rival in the Bears. And I just think they're gonna come out and smack Chicago around. And I think I'm gonna put the whole Chicago team on the bench. I just don't think this, to me, it doesn't feel, even though they're playing at home, it doesn't feel right to me with everything else going on with them. So I would bench the Bears.
Yeah. It, you know, it's kind of sad too, because you at the beginning of the season, I said that Caleb Williams had all the weapons. Like, the Bears came over there and invested in this young man to make sure that the right weapons was around him. And it's sad that you look at the past 3 games, he hasn't thrown. I mean, he hasn't thrown any interceptions, but at the same time, he hasn't thrown any touchdowns either.
Not really good.
And that's crucial right there. So, and with, you know, the change of an offensive coordinator, I don't think it's going to make it any better right now, because now you're kind of starting from scratch in the middle of the season.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, what plays are we going to have? You know, what are we going to figure out that work?
Right.
What are we going to figure out that doesn't work? Like, it's going to be a whole new learning curve starting this Sunday. You know,
they started reverse
with the
all over
Bears.
again.
So I can see that as well too. So I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna keep an eye on that one though. I mean, in division rival, that is still one game that quietly for me stands out. But it's going to be interesting. Cut. Which team
Cowboys.
would you? Okay. Yeah.
We ain't even got waste no time with that. Dallas. Like,
No.
I don't know. I feel this is Mike McCarthy's last season.
It should be
as a Cowboy. Like,
it should be.
It was talk last year, especially like making it to the playoffs. But like I say, you got to win one. I don't care. I don't care how it happens. You know, you get these opportunities and you make it to the playoffs and you don't deliver for some reason.
Right.
And just at the downward slope that Dallas is facing right now, I don't see it getting any better. And let me look at the rest of their schedule. I know I probably got a lot of friends out there. If they're watching, they're going to be pissy at me right now because I'm talking about their team. But I'm looking at the remainder of the schedule, the Commanders, the Bengals. You know, we haven't talked about Joe Cool, but that's another team that we need to talk about in the AFC when we were talking about perennial teams.
Right.
The Buccaneers, Eagles. They play the Commanders twice. Like, their schedule don't get any easier for the remainder of the season. So, like, it's going to be, we might be looking at a 10-11 loss season for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I know folks might not want to hear that, but, like, maybe the Panthers, you know.
No, they're the same team in their division. My guys, hey, you have to worry about being the bottom feeders. Don't worry about it.
But, like, if you had Cooper Rush or Danny Dimes, which one would you take?
You want my honest opinion right now? You want my honest opinion right now?
Don't answer that. Hold on. Hey, give it some thought. Like, let it marinate.
There's no thought.
let it marinate a minute.
Sorry,
just
Sam.
give it a little thought. Okay.
Sorry,
all right.
Sam. No,
all right.
I'm taking Cooper Rush right now because I know the guy that's driving. Jeez. Yeah.
Hey, look. Yeah, but look at this. It didn't matter if it was Cooper Rush or Trey Lance. Like, they came over there. They had like 5-6 interceptions too. So, like,
True.
Hey,
It was
look,
bad.
it could be a win-win situation for the G-men when they play. So, like,
It's true. It's true, man. You're right. But look, it's
hey,
something about
look,
when Dallas plays us, man. They just show up when they play us.
hey, look, Dallas got an excellent kicker. You know what I'm saying? But only time 3 points really count is in the NBA. Like,
NBA.
we're about to not in the
Good point.
NFL.
Good
You
point.
know what
Good
I'm
point.
saying?
Yeah.
If you're a fantasy, and that's what I was saying before. Like, when I look at the Cowboys every year, like I said, with Dak Prescott, and we don't need to peel the onion back too far because I know we need to segue into NBA. But when you look at the Cowboys, like I said, you'll get the stats from 1 through 18. But after that, when you look at the playoffs, when it really matters, like, they disappear.
They disappear.
You
I
know
agree
what
with
I'm
you.
saying? And then
I
they
agree.
sit here. You don't have no money to restructure anymore because you done gave doggone Dak Prescott $243 million. So, like, how are you going to build up from that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, they're about to go through some additional growing pains.
Oh yeah.
And like they're stuck for a minute.
Yeah. Hey, look, I know the pain. Hey, don't worry, Cowboy fans. You still, like I said, you still have a bottom feeder. You guys will be on the second floor. We'll be down on the bottom. We'll hold things. We'll try to do our best to, navigate who comes in and out of the building. We don't do a good job at that, but we'll try. For me, the team that I would cut this week. So obviously, I was going to. My initial thought was my G-men.
Right.
But I'm not gonna beat up on them all night. I want to go to the other team that shares the same stadium with us. I want to talk about the Jets. Because I would just like I don't even the Cardinals, like, come on, man. And then you let Mike Williams go his first game in Pittsburgh, he scores a touchdown. Like it's bad juju going on coming out of MetLife Stadium, both teams. But I would just trash the Jets because I listen to the to the talking heads who really get paid to do what we're talking about. Talking about how what's it? A-Rod doesn't look happy playing.
Right.
He didn't look happy. Period. Like he came and got a paycheck. I don't. Yep. I mean, I think he knew coming to New York. This was. I don't want to say he didn't think this was a no-win situation, but after the blowout last year, and hell, not even the first game, the first series, you blow out your tire, you're out for a whole year. You come back, and basically, and I don't want to say he did, but this feels like he was behind the whole coup and the uproar of everything that's happened and taken place. And this is what you deserve. Like, I just hate to say it. This is what you deserve. And there's no way I would want anything to do on any part of the Jets because the talent is there, but it's just a stinking cesspool. And that would be the team that I would bench, for this week's game. And, they're playing Indy at that. So a winnable game. But I would still bench them. I would take Indy in this one on the road.
I mean, I agree with you. He's, they say that you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
He came over there. He left Green Bay because he was unhappy in Green Bay. There was a lot of rookies on the team. He brought, he brought his team, the team that he wanted,
Yep.
And you could still call them the New York Packers because, like, you look at the roster,
right,
and everyone is doggone Green Bay affiliate. So, like, you brought this core squad with you to New York, and you're just fudging it up everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to pass last season because you got hurt, but here it is. Like, you have a full season, and when I look at his eyes, it reminds me of the last season he was in Green Bay. It's like he just wasn't feeling it anymore. So it just gets to the point, like, when do you just, it's okay. I really wish that he would have retired a Packer because we want to be having this conversation about him now.
I agree.
And
I agree.
I think the more he lingers in the NFL, some people were saying, like, he needs to go ahead and leave doggone Green Bay. I mean, the Jets, and head to Minnesota so he can have the Brett Favre effect. I don't want that to happen. I doubt it's going to happen, but I just think that he just needs to go ahead and have his coup de grace after this season because, like, it is not going to get any better.
Yeah.
So just,
the
Jet, it is what it is at this point. And, and I think that everyone was on that hype train, including me. I was like, man, the Jets is about to sit here and run the AFC, but they haven't ran anything but their mouths. And now you got that conflict. Like, look at Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams thought that it was going to be, Aaron and Devontae 2.0, and, like, he's miserable. You know what I'm saying? and that goes back to what I was saying. I guarantee you, if Derek Carr was healthy, you know
Right.
what I'm saying, he would have went down to New Orleans.
Yep.
So he just went to the most viable solution right now. Like, you know, Brett, I mean, I keep on saying Brett, my bad. Aaron Rodgers is out on the field, so let me go ahead and be with, my homeboy right here. But he's it's just it's not it anymore.
It's not.
You know?
Not.
Yeah. So I think that shine, that luster and that hype, it done dwindled down, and the
Yeah.
Jets are back to just being the Jets again.
Yeah. They're basically news fodder for your pet cage. Just line up your pet cage and put the Giants next to it. Just give it a little fluff because success pool out there. And it's a lot of football left. But yeah, I agree. And you mentioned the NBA. Just wanted to take a second to kind of jump into the NBA, man. Have a little talk because things have been a little. I don't know. I'm gonna use my big vocabulary. Awry in the NBA this year, and a couple of teams. I don't know. Who stands out to you? Because I know. You definitely follow the West. I know you're a big Mavs fan and everything.
Right.
There are one or two teams or a team that really has stepped out for you in the West that really making you pause and say, hold on, man. Maybe I might have to rewind, my thoughts on this.
The Warriors. And the reason why I say it was that, over the past couple of years, like with Clay leaving, there's been a lot of revamping as far as the players. They went younger, smaller.
Yeah.
But yet for some reason, like Steve Kerr is making it work with a 13-man rotation. And a lot of people felt like it shouldn't be working right now. But it's definitely working, which, like I said, I'm just surprised to see that going on. So can they keep it up though? I just realized that Steph is about to be 38, and that's crazy to hear that. Draymond is about to be 37 or something like that.
Yep.
So you got your seasons, folks, but you still got Andrew Wiggins. There's a lot of young talent coming up behind there, and like they're making it work. So like for that's who my surprising team out of the West. As far as the East, I mean the Cavs, but I know that we're about to get into that.
Yeah,
but I'm just like, I would have never thought that, they're still undefeated right now. So like, what in the world is going on in Cleveland right now? I know LeBron looking like,
what? What?
Cavalier team look pretty good right now.
Yeah, man. Look, I don't even know what it is, man. Just there's some type of dominance that's really happening right now in Cleveland. I don't care how you cut it, and I think it's the way that they're winning, with Coach Atkinson, leading the charge. And I mean, they weren't a bad team last year with Bickerstaff, as the head coach. And he had them really playing well over the last couple of years. But this is that piece that sometimes I really do believe sometimes players just kind of fall on deaf ears. Like you've been hearing the same thing for a couple of years. So after a while, you just tune it out. And sometimes a new voice and a new energy is needed. And it seems like watching them, like they're playing, what's the word? Like inspired. Like they have more of a reason to play like now with Atkinson versus Bickerstaff. And again, I don't really know what that is, but just watching the fans in Cleveland, like just watching the game, like it's raucous in there, man. Like they really getting into it. And I think you and I talked about like beginning of the year, I think I'm safe to even say this. There was no way we even thought that Cleveland one would be better than the Celtics. So, and it's still early, but right now I really have to rethink how I thought, because I'm thinking like, do I really have to consider them as the best team in the East? Right. And it's just funny. Like no matter how the standings even may change, it's this Cleveland team with Mitchell, Evan Mobley making a leap, Garland showing up every night. Like they have bench play, they have depth. They really look like they can match up well with a Boston team. And do we really have to really revisit our mindset and our mind, our thoughts, moving forward. But Cleveland by far has been the biggest surprise because they weren't bad last year, but just the way that
No,
they're playing and the inspiration behind the play to me really shows they blowing teams out, man, by 30 points, 38, 40, and they're getting execution from everybody
yeah,
on the team. And that to me right now is huge. And
yeah,
it's only, I mean, we ain't even hit December yet. So
yep.
it's crazy.
And I mean, just think about it. They were fourth in the conference
Right.
last year. They
Right.
were that 4 seed going into the playoffs. So,
Right.
like I said, I'm really surprised that we even have them in this conversation right now. So,
Right.
kudos to them. I did want to bring up one thing though,
Go
and
ahead.
here's my question:
Yep.
when is Doc Rivers going to stop
Oh,
getting a
bro.
pass?
Bro. That's a great question because I
When
swear
is
it's time to stop
I,
with this Doc Rivers thing, man. It's time to let it go.
I think about the teams and the players that he had the opportunity to have,
Yeah.
and even if we go back like 10, 11 years, like he only has let's do a hot 15. He
Okay.
only has one championship
Yep.
with the caliber of players that he had
And that
from
he's coached.
Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo when he was in Boston.
Yep.
You think about Harden, DeAndre
Yep.
Jordan, Blake Griffin,
Blake Griffin,
and I'm probably missing somebody else, but just the Clippers, period.
Chris Paul,
And
all
the
of them.
type, yeah, Chris Paul.
Lob
Uh,
City. Yep.
yeah. You think about and even at the
Embiid.
latter part when
He was in fit with
uh,
Embiid, Ben
yeah,
Simmons, all of
mm-hmm,
those guys, and Tobias Harris.
yep.
All of them. And now we watch him
And
destroy
now
Milwaukee.
you got Dame Dollar and
Mm-hmm.
Giannis. I know that he might be going through some things because
Mm-hmm.
Giannis ain't there anymore, so he doesn't have that crutch like he normally does.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like it's painful to just to see like the talent that he could sit here and put around,
Yeah.
but just the product that comes out at the end.
And
So I like I said, I feel like I do agree with that. Like
look,
he doesn't need to, if there's another coaching opportunity, which I'm
he
pretty sure
shouldn't get
somebody
it.
will jump on it,
He
but
shouldn't
he
get it
shouldn't be considered. Like
anymore.
not in this day and age. Like no
Eh,
more.
no more.
I think that it done came and went like a long time ago.
I
So
agree. I agree with you. And I want to say this like I love Doc Rivers.
yeah.
I really do love. I love what he's brought to the game, both as a
Mm-hmm.
player, a coach, his knowledge, his experience.
Yeah.
I think he's a good guy, but sometimes, and this is just honest, even looking at life itself, sometimes your window has passed.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes your way of coaching, thinking, doing, speaking does not jive with this next group. And I think that, like, for me, from the time he was in Philly and that whole thing kind of blew up with the Embiid and Ben Simmons and whatever went on in that playoff series, it kind of everything seemed to devolve like going down the toilet from there. And I
Yeah.
will agree with you. I don't think he needs to. If there's ever another, and I don't want him to get fired. I'm not saying I want him to get fired,
Yeah.
but I
No.
just think if he ever gets to that point where he's in a position, there's coaching jobs opening up, he should not be. He should not be. And I say this lovingly. He should not be considered. It's time
Right.
to remove yourself and go
Mm-hmm.
on be an advisor. And funny enough, the way I understand how he got this job was he was actually an advisor for the Bucks when
Yeah.
they were going through letting the coach go, and this
Mm-hmm.
kind of slid right in. Now,
Yeah.
again, I don't know how true. I don't know, so do not say Dame said. But if
No.
that be true, that's
Mm-hmm.
foul. That's
Yeah.
foul, and you're getting what you
He,
deserve.
he went to the front office like, get rid of him.
Yeah. Well, who we gonna
You don't
replace
need
him
him
with,
out.
Doc?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where did
I'm here.
this? Where did this coaching job come from? You want me
Yeah,
to be head coach?
yeah. Like I said, I don't know how true, but if that's the case, no. But I agree with you, and we have to, and I don't want people to sit here, you're tearing down another man. It's not. We're just talking
No.
honest facts.
Yeah.
He's brought, like I said, he's brought a tremendous amount to the game. He means a lot. I know if you listen to, the KG, Big Ticket, if you listen to Pierce and Rondo and the guys in Boston, he means a lot. And in that moment and in that piece of time in history, I couldn't agree more. But we transitioned now. That's been more than maybe 10 years ago, if not more. Like
probably over that. Yeah. That's been about 14 years.
Yeah. So time to transition and respect it for what it is. But yeah, don't give Doc another job. Please don't. Yeah. Well, we've assembled that Voltron head. I know we talked about it before too. So this Friday, is it this Friday? This Friday the 15th. The mega WWE fight.
Yes.
Tyson and Paul.
Yes.
Netflix. I mean, I'll probably grab up some beers and sit down and watch it. Has your vision changed in the sense of as we're getting closer? And I've been watching more videos and more speak and Tyson looks amazing, right? He really does.
To be 58, like he is.
He's a rock, man. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you? But and I'm trying to be real in this question though, because not the man. But does that really transition into? Do you feel it transitions into something that we can actually get a fight? Because I don't want to see no boxing. I'm paying for a fight. And do you think that transition?
See, here's the thing. Like 4 years ago, when they had the sparring, when it was Tyson and Roy Jones, and even like I sat down and I watched some snippets of Roy Jones just talking about the sparring event. Because he was like, we over here, I'm thinking we were just doing some love taps and everything. And he was like, it was a mechanism that hit in Tyson. And he was like this dude hitting for real. So, he was smitten for a minute. Like, he was like, I had to whisper in his ear, like, don't forget, this is a sparring match. So
save me. Help me, please.
Now, I think the stakes changed a little bit now that it's supposed to be a sanctioned match.
Right.
So, but I'm still like I said, I just remember looking at Holyfield when he was 55, 56, still in the ring. And we were like, why at this point? Because you really don't have anything to prove. Yeah. I know that there was probably some other things that came into factor to keep him in the ring for as long as he did.
Yeah.
But I want him to shut Jake Paul up. Like I was happy when he fought Tommy Fury because Tommy Fury was a boxer. He wasn't sitting here dealing with an MMA fighter.
And he gave him a good run. Tommy did a good job. He did.
Yeah. So I think it was a wake-up call because Jake Paul was never in the ring against a boxer before.
Right.
So you think about Tyson and I'm hoping that he just put him down, call it a day.
What I'm saying?
We don't need to sit here and watch 6-8 rounds, however long it's supposed to be. Do what you do best. You know what I'm saying? And just call it a day and be like, look, you must have forgot who I am. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna go sleep and take care of my pigeons, go back out to Nevada, check on my weed factories and everything, call it a day. Just leave all of that alone. And I know that there's probably some clauses in there, but you got to think Tyson has nothing to lose out of this
at all.
So he's getting paid either way. The purse might change whether he goes the distance or knock him out early. So just knock him out early, make everybody happy, call it a day. So it's how hard of a hit can you take from Tyson? Because he's 58 and I don't want to be hit by him.
I sure don't.
You know what I'm saying? Not at all.
Don't.
Especially with the massive muscle he done gained over the past 6 months.
Bro. I was watching the clip of him the other day, and I was like, "Yo, this dude is older than me. I mean, just rock hard, solid, and it's scary." Like I say, because there's one thing, you hear people who are boxers or professionals. There's one thing that if you're a puncher, it's that's one thing that really that's the last thing to leave, right? Speed is gone, but that punching power and that's the part. I'm with you on. I just want this thing to be over. I'm tired of every time I'm turning around, I'm hearing Jake Paul this, Jake Paul that, and this, that. The
Yeah.
whole sideshow of it. Because to me,
Yeah.
growing up a fan of boxing, I think it's just tarnished the sport. And I think, the sport has devolved into
You're right.
this sideshow thing where MMA
Hmm.
now has taken off.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't like it. It devalues it. And this is one of those, like, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but I do
You're
want
right.
to see Tyson knock this dude's head off. And like you said, like, let's end this sideshow. Let's end this and let's get back to real fighters, real professionals in a sport that's really, I mean, to me, I mean, and I'm just gonna be honest, the best athletes in the sport, because you gotta be a tough dude to stand there for 12 rounds and get busted in the head over 100 times. Like
Yeah. Exactly.
this is no helmet. This is not
Hmm.
football play. This is you and another dude, same size or bigger, especially
Hmm.
in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Punching you in the head 100 times, man, you got to be a bad dude. So I want to see us get back to that. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask that while we were sitting here, man. And
No, it's all
closing out.
good. And on
Out.
the flip side, like there is a UFC card this weekend too, with
Yeah.
John Jones and Steve
Yeah.
Myopic. So
Yeah.
I'm excited, and I think that's a really stacked card too, if I remember from UFC 309.
Mhm.
So I'm more on the side, like I'm more excited to see those matches.
Yeah.
And who they got. Let me see who else they got.
The
'Cause I'm probably
Bone Jones, you think he I don't want to say it seems like he's lost some of his magic, but he's still a hell of a fighter, man, and he still brings that skill set, man, that can't be denied. But do you still think he's still at that prime peak where he's still able to go ahead and go head up and take on some of this young talent that's coming up?
He hasn't really been wanting to fight the young talent though. So I guess that's my bigger question, because Steve Myopic, he's in his late 30s. I think he
Yep.
said that he wanted to fight Alex Pereira next, and him and John Jones both are 37. So, and he's to the point now, like he warrants that the younger fighters just aren't that caliber and they haven't proved anything yet. So I think in order for someone to spark his interest, they're going to have to win the belt from either Myopic or Pereira for him
to
to
even
try to go down to light heavy,
Yeah.
or to stay. This is supposed to be his last match.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, we always hear.
Yeah.
Don't we always hear that though? Like,
Yeah.
I could have sworn this was like the third time I heard this was his last match.
Well,
Something
I
like
think
that.
I think it, because it's been delayed so much, I think that they were
Right.
supposed to
Yeah.
be fighting since like 303 or something like
It's
that.
been a minute.
Well,
Yeah.
300. It was supposed to be 300. That John Jones was supposed to be in the cards, but I think he got in trouble during that time too.
Yeah, I know there was the drug or whatever it was.
And
Yeah.
then Myopic got hurt, so the card just kept on getting pushed and pushed. But like, I think he's been pretty adamant since last year that this fight was going to be it's supposed to be it. But like I said, he was just talking about if there was anyone that he would face, he would like to go down and face Alex Pereira.
The light heavies. Yeah, go down.
Yeah.
Go down. Yeah.
So because right now that to me, that's that dude. Like,
Pereira, he's phenomenal. And that would be I think that would be a great fight. Styles make fights. But I don't know. I've never been a fan. Like, I think about guys who have to cut weight. I just think you're at a disadvantage when you have to cut, if you're a natural body size. And I mean, not to say that he couldn't do it, but I just think it takes so much of your energy in the long term. They're going, the championship rounds in the UFC is like what, 4 minutes, 5 minute rounds or whatever.
5 minutes rounds. Yeah.
That's harder, I think, to do, especially when you had to cut. You lose that energy and that speed and that shiftiness over that period of time. So I think it would be a great fight if he did, but I've always been hesitant when guys do that. I don't think we get the best version of them when they have to do that.
Yeah, I think it depends on what Alex will want to do too. Do I want to be at 205 or do I want to go ahead and just be heavy, and come in at that 230 plus?
Right.
So, I think that would be a good matchup. Let's see how this hurdle is crossed first.
Right.
Like I said, Myopic been dealing with a whole lot of injuries and everything. So I'm not exactly sure how he's coming in to fight on Saturday.
Good point.
Like I said, it's going to be interesting to watch. So let's get through Tyson and Paul first. Go Tyson. And then, like I said, I think Saturday is going to be. Yeah, I think Saturday is going to be a really good day for fight fans.
Yeah, I look forward to it. It's always good to have alternative options, especially when your home football team sucks. So, I like to have opportunities. But it's been another thrilling and intriguing night. Great conversation with you, brother. I appreciate you, Sam Sarge. Uh,
Thank you, thank you.
Please, for those again, we drive that. So Sam does do a lot of gaming. That's one of his hobbies and things that he likes to do on the side. So, Sam, you want to share any information, man? People want to check you out, man. Get with you one on one, team, whatever. When you playing on the
Sure.
weekends, or whatever.
I mean, check me up. I'm a PC player, so Steam account is Old Sarge Gaming. So whether it's Steam, BattleNet, I don't do anything EA. I do tend to stream from time to time, so you can look me up on my Facebook page, Sam Adams, or you can look me up on Instagram too under Old Sarge Gaming, and just drop a line, or if you want to team up, let's go ahead and run and gun it for a little bit. Call it a day.
Well, there y'all have it from my man, my brother, my partner in crime here on Tuesday nights as we continue to bring you sports content. As the seasons develop and go on, we'll be bringing you more. If you have any ideas or anything you'd like for us to talk about specifically, drop us a line. If you want to be a guest, drop us a line. We'll be more than happy to have you come on and sit with us, and we can beat up whoever your favorite team is too, just like we do
Oh yeah.
mine. Not so much like Sam's, because Sam's got a good. He's a Packers guy. These guys are all right this year.
Hey, look, if you're a Cowboys fan, I'm gonna talk about you though. All right, let's go ahead and be clear. All right, don't bring up your doggone 5 Super Bowls and you haven't seen one in over 30 some odd years. So, but hey, look, it's all fun and games.
It is at the end of the day, all fun and games, all done in love, and we appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. So, as we close out tonight, man, I'm gonna leave you with the same 3 pieces I leave you with each and every week and each and every show. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out, and we'll see you next week on the next 2 Mics Up Tuesday Blitz with me and my brother, Big A Sam Adams. Y'all have a great night.